Welcome to KHALEELA'S TV. It's your girl KHALEELA, and today we're gonna chit chat about some lessons that I learned in 2020. 20 of them to be exact. The reason why I wanted to share this with you guys is because, of course, I did learn a lot, but I feel like if we go through life and not take time to take stock, to check our inventory. What did we learn from this relationship? What did we learn from this job? What did we learn from this situation? What did we learn from this friendship? What did we learn from this partnership? What did we learn from these experiences? If we don't take stock of the lessons that we learn and the takeaways from each individual situation, we may end up repeating those same mistakes and having to learn those mistakes, learn those lessons later on in the future. So I just decided to take a quick inventory of the things that I learned in 2020, and it worked out to be 20 things. I was aiming for 10, but it worked out to be 20. So here we go, and I'm gonna try to go through it quick, but let's just see what happens, right? All right, so lesson number one is people won't be in your life forever, so just appreciate them while they are. Now for this one, I feel like it is very self-explanatory, as the amounts of life we lost in 2020, so I don't really need to get too much into that. But even if it is not a lost life, just a lost relationship, a lost connection, just, you know, I learned to be more appreciative of these connections. Lesson number two that I learned was to talk less and listen more, right? So back home in Jamaica, we have this saying that, you know, we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so that we can listen a lot more than we speak. Now, some of these things on the list, I do feel like they have been said before, or I was taught them, or they were told to me at an early age. But I feel like sometimes when you don't take heed to the things that people are trying to tell you, you will be forced to learn these lessons on your feet. You know what I mean? It's like God is like, all right, so you're not gonna listen. You're not gonna listen. You not finna listen, and then boop, he puts you right in those situations so that you can learn the lesson. So my second lesson that I learned from 2020 is to talk less and listen more. Number 3 is that boundaries are important. So I need to set them, but also respect them. I had to learn the importance of being able to say no to others, right? But also knowing when I need to respect someone else's no and not take offense to it, or not take it personally that someone was establishing their boundaries with me. Number 4 is that financial freedom is a necessity. Financial freedom, I don't think, is something that is a luxury. It is actually a necessity for us as human beings, which means you do need multiple streams of income. I feel like that was shown in the pandemic. Like, let's say you had one business and that business had to be shut down due to not being able to accept customers. You were left out. Like, you were left having to figure out what your next step is going to be, or you needed to be reliant on the government. Whereas if you didn't place all your eggs in one basket and you were able to spread those eggs out, then it was like, okay, well, that business shut down. Well, I have this thing over here that I'm also working on that's also bringing me income, so I can now focus on that thing. So having multiple streams of income is very, very important, and I feel it is a necessity. Number 5, the 5th lesson that I learned in 2020 is that it is okay to make mistakes. I grew up in an environment where I had to get A's. Right now, I'm gonna be honest, like, there was like up and down, and I wasn't always the perfect child who got A's. I was also a point in my childhood where I was the bad child who flunked out of all my classes. But then there were times, especially when I lived with my father figure, where I had to get A's, and if I brought home a B, it was an issue. And I feel like that kind of ingrained a lot of fear of failure mentality within me, where if I think I am going to fail at something, I'd rather not do it. If I think I'm going to say the wrong thing, I'd rather not say it. And sometimes it's about just biting the bullet and just doing that thing that you want to do, or saying that thing that you want to say just to get it out there. And if you are wrong, you learn from your mistakes. You learn, like, let's say you have a business idea that you want to start, put it out there, see what happens. Did it shoot off, or did it like burn to dust? Okay, well, it burned to dust. What did you do wrong? Learn from it and move on. You have to take your L's as lessons and not losses, because when you take it as losses, you stunt your growth a little bit, because now it's like this fear of, but what if I do this and then it's gonna be wrong, and then this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen, and you know, all of that loopy stuff that tends to happen. So that is another thing that I learned. Number 6 is that spirituality is a very important thing, and I do feel like it is a path that should be taken alone, right? I feel like your spiritual path, yes, you are going to be influenced by many people, the people that you were raised by, the people that you meet in high school, the people that you meet in college, the people that you meet through YouTube, the people that you meet on social media. Everyone has a different religion, everyone have a different relationship to God, and whether it's they're saying, oh well, you know what, I believe in being Muslim, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Rastafarian, I'm a Christian, I'm a this, I'm a that, everyone has something that they believe in, and however they choose to navigate their journey to get there, that's on them, and that should not be placed upon you. You should be able to navigate your own journey and believe in what you believe in terms of what your intuition is telling you. Number 7, believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. I feel like with the media, social media, with the news, there was just so much different information being shot at us in 2020 that it's just like, what do I believe? Like, is this reality or is this lies? You know what I mean? Like, it'll be one person is saying this, the other person is saying that, and it was just like, it was just a lot. So having that discernment to decide what to listen to, what information you should take in, what information is like a load of crap. So just being able to question everything that you're hearing, and also double checking what you think you saw about a situation. Number 8 is when shit hit the fan, you need to be responsible for you. You can't, and I learned that you can't expect other people or put that responsibility on other people to save me. I couldn't put that responsibility on other people to save me. I needed to save myself. I needed to be responsible for myself, because at the end of the day, everyone, when stuff hit the fan, everyone is going to be out trying to save themselves. When stuff hit the fan, everyone is trying to make sure that they have their ducks in a row. So to ask someone to save you or to carry you or to worry about you when they're trying to fix their own stuff is rather selfish, I find. So just making sure that whenever stuff hit the fan, you can take care of yourself. That is something that I learned as well. Number 9 is to kind of be careful who you open up to in those difficult times. I feel like normally I have a level head in terms of gauging other people and who I let in and what information I'm gonna let out. But sometimes I feel like, especially in 2020, when you become so vulnerable and you kind of crave like intimacy, clarity, protection, a team, you crave so many different things, you may find yourself being vulnerable to people that you might not need to be vulnerable with, right? Not everyone who smiles in your face wishes you well. That's what I wrote. But nonetheless, moving on. Number 10. don't allow other people to project on you. And in air quotes I did put, you need to know thyself, right? What happens is sometimes we'll have other people, we'll have like the best of intentions in the world in regards to a situation, in regards to in regards to what we're doing for someone, or in regards to what we're bringing to the table. And I feel like if someone else is dealing with their own thing, they may look at what we're doing and they may project some negative things onto what we're trying to do, or question our intentions. So you need to kind of know yourself. You need to know thyself, know your why, know who you are, so you can stand firmly on that. Because what happens is, when you know who you are, when you don't know who you are, or when you're trying to figure out who you are, or when you're like wishy-washy about who you are, or you don't have the ground, like you don't have the ground that you stand on, I feel like it's easy for other people to kind of come in and project onto you. And if you're not sturdy in who you are and grounded in who you are, then it's easy to believe their perception. It is easy to be swayed by someone else's stuff when that's not who you are authentically. So you kind of want to know thyself, know who you are authentically, know what you stand on, be grounded in you, so that anytime someone does try to project onto you or is projecting onto you, you'll be able to spot it and be like, that's not me, you talking, like, you know, you talking crazy, that's not me, that's not what I meant. That's, you'll be able to like kind of fix the situation right then and there, nip it in the bud. Number 11, self-sacrifice under the disguise of unconditional love is not love. I feel like there are times and situations where in life, because we love other people, there's this expectation that you're supposed to tolerate shenanigans, you're supposed to tolerate disrespect, you're supposed to tolerate them hurting you, and because you love them, right? It's like, oh well, if you love me, you would accept my good and my bad and stuff like that. And I feel like there is a balance to it. You can love someone unconditionally and still put yourself first, not because you have certain boundaries for yourself, or not because you desire to be treated a certain way and won't tolerate less than that. That doesn't mean that you love someone any less. I personally feel like the people who want you to accept BS, want you to tolerate foolishness without any remorse for yourself, they're actually the ones that are extremely selfish. It's good to love people unconditionally, but there's no need for you to sacrifice yourself for a love situation. It's like asking someone to put them before you. Like, why would I put you before me? Would you put me before you? No, we are all like beyond God and our children and stuff like that. We are our main characters in our own life. To ask someone else to sacrifice themselves as the main character in their life to put you as the main character in their life, that is actually not love. Number 12, it's neglect is not love. So I remember being in school, and when I was in school and a guy would like treat me bad, he'll like push me, or he'll do something that isn't that nice. I just kind of remember people always saying like, if he pushes you or if he does something bad or whatever like that, like he treats you a certain way, it's because he likes you, right? He just doesn't know how to handle liking you, so now he brushes you off and he treats you a bad way. And I've learned that that is the furthest thing from the truth. If someone is continually giving you the hint that they're not interested in a relationship, a partnership, or a friendship with you, believe them. If someone is constantly, whether physically, emotionally, not there for you, or abusing you, or whatever the case may be, believe their actions, don't believe their words. And I get it, 2020 was a difficult year for everyone, so I guess the expectation of others in 2020 should be on like a lower scale, since it was a shakeup for everyone. But in the same breath, if you've been dealing with the same situation over and over and over and over and over and over with someone for years, and then it was only exasperated in 2020, I feel like that is something that you may want to look at. That's something that I definitely looked at within myself. Just realizing that, you know, when you are raised in an environment of neglect, you may think that that's love, and that's not quite love. And another little sparkle I wanted to drop in on number 12 that really stood out for me in 2020 is that when you have to realize, like, when situations come up and you're like the last person to know about something or the last person to be told about something, you may want to assess why. Now, number 13 is don't be a victim, be a survivor. Now, this one is not me victim blaming anyone or saying, you know, like talking down to people and like belittling their experiences or belittling their emotions. That is definitely not what I'm saying. 2020 was definitely a huge life-changing year for me. In the same breath, I realized that it's been an emotional roller coaster for everyone, and the best thing that I can do is to, you know, speak to my therapist about what it is that I've been through, learn the lessons, learn from those situations, and see what lessons they've taught me, and choose to, on a daily basis, to wake up and be a survivor and say, you know what, yo, Kay, like, you're doing better than you're doing yesterday. You're doing way better than you were doing last month. You have survived the situation. You've overcome a lot. And choosing to, even though I feel my emotions and I know my emotions are valid and I understand that, you know, the experience that I've been in, it was traumatic for all of us. Taking everything that I know and still putting it where it needs to be, and not allowing it to hinder my future growth and not hinder me from moving forward in my life journey, right? So that's something that I have to remind myself a lot lately. Number 14, the lesson that I learned here was that mental health is very important. It is very, very important, if not more important than physical health. Mental health is very, very important. And the reason why I really had to learn this lesson is because I remember, like, and this is not to be insensitive to anyone, but like, I remember like growing up and stuff like that, and I always had parents who were like hard on me. So it was like, if you didn't have a broken leg, if your limbs weren't broken, if you weren't in the hospital for surgery, you needed to carry on life. You needed to carry on with your life, right? And whenever I would experience, and because I was raised under those conditions, whenever I would experience someone who would say, oh, well, you know, I'm going through depression, I'm going through anxiety, I'm going through one of these different things, my initial reaction would be, oh, you don't want to work, or you don't want to do this, or you don't want to just do what you're supposed to be doing. And I find that a lot of times we need to watch what we say and how we perceive situations, because God have a funny way of working. You will see somebody going through something and you will lack the remorse and the compassion for them, and what God will do is He will put you in that same exact situation that person was in, so you can feel what they were going through. So for the first time in my entire life in 2020, I experienced what depression was. I experienced what it was to be anxious and have anxiety and all these different emotions and feelings that I didn't quite have before, right? Because I was too busy being such a strong person. But what I realized is, yes, being physically healthy and in shape is important, but if your mental health, if you're not able to balance what's going on in your mind and how you're processing and perceiving things external to you, it can be very, very damaging. So it's very important to definitely put mental health on one of the top things of our list and the things that we value. Okay, so number 15, it's a little bit of a lengthy one, but real quick, it's just saying like, look, you never have all of the answers. You never know what's gonna come next, and instead of worrying about what is coming next, what's gonna happen, are things gonna shut down, am I gonna lose my job, what's gonna happen with the children, what's gonna happen with this, what's gonna happen with that, instead of worrying about these different what ifs, it's best for me to be in the present, be in the moment. I can't control what's gonna happen tomorrow. I can't control what already happened yesterday. The only thing I can do now in this minute is control what is in front of me and do my best right now to prepare for whatever future events may come, right? Because if I focus right now on what's in front of me and take the necessary steps to prepare for what is to come, then my future self will then be like, you know, thank you, sis, like, you know, you was looking out for both of us. But to be consumed with, okay, well, what if the government shuts down, what if this happens, what if that happens, my focus is so far on what is to happen or what if this thing happened that it takes it away from what I can be doing in the now to prepare for said thing, right? Number 16 is that forgiveness is necessary. Now, I learned that I have to forgive. Not because everyone says, oh, you know, forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person, and blah blah blah. Everyone do say it, and I probably should have listened, but I didn't. But what I realized is that holding on to grudges, right? Holding on to situations and refusing to forgive people for mistakes that they've made, it hinders your growth, it hinders your process, it hinders your progress, because you can get so, I've gotten so consumed, let me take responsibility for my emotions and my feelings. I've gotten so consumed with, you know, situations and circumstances that it'll loop in my mind, and I'm realizing that, yo, like, girl, you need to stop thinking about this thing, because now you're not doing or focusing on what you need to focus on. You need to forgive this person, you need to forgive this situation, so that you can move on and you don't stay stuck in this hamster wheel of thinking about the same thing over and over. And also, like, if you want, what I learned is, if I wanted people to forgive me for my mistakes, because I know I'm not perfect, then, or I want God, not even people, but I want God to forgive me for my mistakes, I have to be able to give that same grace to others that I seek, right? Because I'm not perfect. I do things, I've said sly things, I've done things that isn't to the utmost standing of what a person should do. So if I would want that same luxury of forgiveness and grace to be given to me, it is only fair that I give it to other people and not hold that back, because it's only going to be eating me up at the end of the day. Number 17 is only pour from a full cup. This one, my therapist kind of helped me a lot with this one, but the analogy she gave me was, when you're on a plane, right, and the flight attendant gives you the instructions in the case of an emergency, she said the flight attendant always lets you know that in the event of an emergency, you must always mask up first before you help someone else, right? And I think the reason for that is because if you don't mask up first and you try to reach out and help other people, you'll find that you are now losing oxygen. You are now unable to breathe, and you're in the middle of helping someone else. So now both people's lives are at risk, right? Because now you have to stop helping that person to make sure that you can now breathe again. And it's just like, it's too much. You just want to make sure that you're able to be good so that you can save the people around you. You can help the other people around you. So pouring from a full cup is just making sure that you pour into yourself. So whatever love you're giving to anyone else, whatever situation you're helping someone else with, is coming from a place of abundance and not a place of lack. When you give from a place of abundance, there is a less likelihood that you are looking for something in return. But when you give from a place of lack, or from a place of an empty cup, for one, it drains you, but for two, when you get drained, there's perhaps this expectation of, I did this for this person, why isn't this person showing up for me, right? So give from a full cup, just so that it'll help you not have those expectations on others. Number 18 is that you are what you feed. I learned, like, basically, like, whatever is on your news feed, if you're not it, you will become it. Whatever relationships, connections, whether it be romantic, platonic, job situation, business situations, whatever situations you invest in, whatever situations you're feeding in, whatever information is constantly coming up on your news feed, that is evidently what you will become. So you just want to make sure that you're taking in and feeding the right situations, the things that you actually want to influence you in some way, shape, or form. Number 19 is that, and this one is a really, really big one, and I'm pretty sure you probably heard it before, but this is something that I experienced personally, is that it takes such a long time to build reputation, to build up a reputation for yourself, and it takes like the drop of a dime to literally lose everything that you've had built up. So you want to make sure that, you know, yes, you want to jump into things, yes, you want to be a part of things, yes, you want to say certain things, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, I'm just saying think twice, think 3 times, 4, perhaps 5, and then do or say that thing once you've thought it over. But don't just do or say the first thing that comes to your mind. Sometimes it may not be the right thing. And it also does tie back into your ability to make mistakes that I mentioned in the beginning. Making mistakes does help to build resilience. However, if you do want to be someone that is reputable, you do want to just make sure that you're thinking twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before you say something or do something or get into something, because it can, like, if you're getting into everything and doing everything, your character can be tested or questioned, right? But nonetheless, when it comes to that one, what I will combat it and say is, it's not about the mistakes that you make or the fact that other people don't think so highly of you as they once did. For one, screw them. But for two, it's not about the fall. It's about how you get back up from that fall and move on with your life and rebuild, right? So that's what I learned for 19. And my last and favorite one, number 20, it is to mind my business. I learned that I needed to mind my business. I needed to mind my own business financially. What business do you want to start? What do you want to grow and blossom into something that is a success? But also minding my business where I am not nosy and trying to figure out what's going on with someone else's life when I need to focus on my own. mind my business in terms of my emotional state, my mental state, my physical state. Yeah, just minding my business and taking care of me and focusing on me. That is another thing that I learned in 2020. So those were my 20 lessons that I learned from the year 2020. I would love for you guys to share with me a couple of your lessons that you learned in 2020. Also, if you're interested, I did upload a video here on how to deal with loneliness. I know that we've been isolated for extended periods of times, and different strands are about, so you can definitely check that out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.